do have empathy for a person that loses their job. I think it's terrible if you've been laid off, if you've been fired. Most people are not working because it's fun. They're working because they have to. They're working because they need to be able to feed themselves, clothe themselves, and house themselves. We work for survival. And for a person to be laid off, aka terminated, in that moment, they don't know how they're actually going to take care of themselves, how they're going to take care of their kids. God forbid if they have children. That's a scary situation. And if you have not gone through this before, and this is like you're experiencing this for the first time, that's absolutely tough. And my heart goes out to anybody that's going through this and they trying to figure it out. When it happened to me a few times, I don't think I was laid off. I think I was fired for one reason or another. I was let go. It sucks. It really does suck. It doesn't feel good. It felt really bad. I am Prince Amir. Welcome to my channel. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thanks for watching. Today we're talking about layoffs. We're going to jump right in. If you've been laid off, you want to watch this video. If you think you're going to get laid off, you want to watch this video. A lot of people have been laid off, and it's terrible for them and for their family and for their friends. It's a lot of anxiety, a lot of hopelessness, a lot of fear, because people don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how they're going to take care of themselves. They don't know how they're going to take care of their family. This year already, we just hit March. There's been over 30,000 layoffs, and there's a lot more layoffs to come in the future. There's reasons why these layoffs are coming. It's the economy, and it's your government. More specifically, it's your Department of Government Efficiency. A lot of people are getting DOGEd inside and outside of the government. Let's look at a couple of statistics, because I don't think we've reached the point where it's going to get better. I think it's going to continue to get worse before it gets better. We're not at the bottom yet. Later in the video, I am going to share stories of when I did experience a layoff. Yes, I've been laid off / fired. Fired. You know, people say layoffs. You know, sometimes you just fired. It was devastating. I did not know what I was going to do or how I was going to take care of my family. It was a scary situation, but I survived it. And not only did I survive, I thrived. Later in the video, I'm going to share that story with you, and I'm going to share the different things that I did that not only enabled me to bounce back, it enabled me to thrive. I put myself in a way better position than I was beforehand. And so I'm going to share that with you guys a little later in the video. But first, I want to get into some stats. This layoff situation is not new. Let's look at this. 721,677 job cuts. That's how many people lost their job in 2023. That's a lot. Let's look at 2024. Even more. 761,358 jobs. They said this was the most since 2010, excluding 2020. Obviously, 2020, we had COVID where pretty much everybody had to go somewhere and sit down. The whole world shut down. But aside from that, that's a lot of people that were laid off. I know you all remember these big tech companies laid off 10, 20,000 people. Amazon, Walmart, Google, Facebook, Tesla, and they're not done yet. I think there's more layoffs to come. The economy is struggling. The economy is absolutely struggling. And because the economy is struggling, more likely than not, if you are in the private sector, not a government employee, you are probably facing the threat of a layoff as well. These layoffs are not limited to the Department of Government Efficiency. I think the Department of Government Efficiency is also having an impact in the private sector. So not only are government employees getting DOGEd, you might get DOGEd. Let's look at this article right here. Nearly 100 companies are announcing layoffs this month. 100 companies. Retailers like Joann Fabrics and Walgreens are among nearly 100 companies planning layoffs in March, according to U.S. government reports. If you don't know what the WARN Act is, It is the Workers Adjustment and Training Notification Act. Basically, it's a law that says if y'all gonna do a bunch of layoffs, y'all gotta let us know. Y'all gotta let the employees know, the community know, so that people can kind of prepare for the inevitable, for the weeping, for the gnashing of teeth, for the struggle. A lot of people were gonna be on the struggle bus. So companies large and small announced layoffs in March. A few names: Intel, FedEx, Neiman Marcus, John Deere, Macy's. Macy's announced that they're closing 66 stores. So we're not talking a handful of layoffs. The stores are closing. So everybody that work at those stores, they out of there. No job, no income. That's going to affect a lot of people. A lot of people. So y'all see how bad it is, right? And the question you ask yourself is, am I next? Am I insulated from being laid off? It doesn't seem like there's any sector that's safe. You used to be safe if you worked in tech, but tech is getting slaughtered right now. Whether you're a software engineer or you're in the marketing department, you're a designer. I think the only thing in tech that's safe right now is probably cybersecurity. In addition to that, we have artificial intelligence. Most people believe that artificial intelligence is going to take their job. Is artificial intelligence also contributing to the fact that you've been laid off or you might be laid off? Probably so. Or is it interest rates? Is it the fact that the Fed raised interest rates and that money is not cheap right now and they haven't dropped interest rates? And so companies have to make sure that they're lean and not spending more money than they're bringing in and borrowing more money and becoming over leveraged. So they have to trim the fat, so to speak. And so they get rid of all non-essential workers. Or maybe they had different projects that they were investing in order to grow and expand their business. But right now, it might not be the time to grow and expand. It might be the time to coast, do what you know, be safe, stack, because the economy might be falling off a cliff. Threats of a looming recession, threats of a depression, but it never came. Probably because it's on the way. Y'all might be living on top of each other. It might be some cots in the living room. Y'all might be sleeping on the floor. Might be some folks sleeping on some couches. Yeah, that was a thing when I grew up. I slept on some couches more than 12 months. The den was a bedroom. You know what I'm saying? We might be going back to that. We might be going back to a real struggle where people are going to have to make adjustments, minimize their life. Let's look at some of the folks that are getting laid off.
Employees are describing Donald Trump's massive layoffs as devastating, cruel, and surreal. Shanice Mundell is one of those workers fired in the name of cost cutting. A single mom told the New York Times, quote, "I was on the track to do what I set out to do, but now everything is all upside down." She's worried how she'll be able to provide for her children and afford her mortgage. Mundell was fired simply because she had been in her position for less than a year, which is known as probationary period for most federal employees. And Shanice Mundell joins us now.
Yeah, you see that? She don't know how she's going to pay her mortgage. She don't know how she going to take care of her family. She had a plan. Everything was on track. She was getting to it. Everything was working out in her life. And now she out of there. My heart goes out to her. I am empathetic because I've been there before. I've been in her shoes. But I do want to touch on the narrative that I'm seeing from a lot of people, specifically people that work for the government that are being laid off. There's a certain level of entitlement. The way that they're covering this story, the idea that she was let go simply because she had not been on the job for longer than a year. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. You got a company and they do a bunch of hiring because they're expanding and they're trying to fill roles because they're taking on new projects. They got new ideas. When things happen in the economy, you got to pivot. And the first people to go are the new people. More likely than not, you're going to keep the people that's been keeping things going up to that point where the company has been profitable. Anybody that you brought on to do some new project, you get them up out of there. Let's look at Apple. Remember Apple was trying to make a car and they completely just got out of that business and said, we no longer making a car. All of those people that was working on that project to build a car for Apple, they out of there. They let them go. They fired them. They don't work for Apple no more. Maybe they retain some of the talent. Most of those people, cut them. They cut the whole program. The whole operation had to shut down. It comes with the territory. It happens. You're not entitled to a job. In fact, somebody want that job. Somebody want you to be laid off so that they can take your spot. Just remember that. Think about it. Let's take a look at this.
Also breaking right now, President Trump has directed that all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion staff be put on paid leave and eventually be laid off.
This after promising to dismantle these programs, which could touch on everything from anti-bias training to funding for minority farmers and homeowners. Fox 8's Sharon Crowley joins us now in studio with the details. Sharon?
Yeah, this is happening just moments ago. All federal diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, offices were closed. This is just one of many executive orders signed by President Trump. It directs the end of any federal programs relating to DEI and puts all federal DEI staff on paid administrative leave until they are laid off. Now, DEI office staffers were ordered to be put on leave at 5 o'clock this evening. All related web pages also are taken down now. The executive action rolls back an order that dates back to Lyndon Johnson's presidency and also ends grants given to DEI federal contractors. Now, Democrats already objecting to President Trump's DEI directive.
It's incredibly alarming.
Ooh, y'all see that? Wow. Yo, President Donald Trump say, yo, if your job has anything to do with DEI, you laid off. Effective immediately. You are on leave, and then you gonna leave. Cold-blooded. President Trump said, hey, you in here because of diversity, equity, and inclusion? You fired. Now, some people are going to say, you see, President Trump said, if you are black, you are on leave and you fired. Some people believe that DEI is a dog whistle for being black. I disagree. If your job had anything to do with DEI, if you were a DEI trainer, if you were a person that went around giving talks and speeches about how to help white people not be so racist towards black people, if that was your job, you've been terminated. You were on leave and they about to get you up out of there. All of these jobs where they was paying people big money, director positions, to be the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion for these different companies, that director position is done. As you know, President Donald Trump signed an executive order essentially making it illegal to do anything as it pertains to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is why a lot of companies got rid of those programs. The way that they're looking at it is diversity, equity, and inclusion is racism because you're discriminating against one group for the benefit of another. Now, this upsets the other groups that are being benefited on this side of the discrimination because they claim that they endured decades of discrimination on behalf of the other. And the only way that you can make that right is decades of reverse racism. And so the Trump administration says, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing reverse racism. We getting rid of racism of all types. And we want to go to a merit-based way of life here in our country where we don't pay attention to a person's ethnic background or a person's sexual orientation. We pay attention to the merits of who you are as a person, your character, whether or not you have integrity, whether or not you add value to society, or you just take, no matter what color you are, what identity you have or you say you have, or whatever your religious background is, so on and so forth. Yeah, I get it. And I can't say that I'm not against it. DOGE, I agree with the mission that they have to go into our government and root out the corruption. The government spends too much money. The people in charge of what our government spends our money on are crazy. They're insane. They don't pay their bills. It is like a child. They're like children. A child, when they go to a store, they want what they want. They don't have any concept or understanding that their mom and their dad have to pay for those things. They just want it. They're not looking at price tags. No, I want that thing. It's $200. I don't care about what it costs. I just want it. Get it. And if they had access to the credit card, they would just swipe and get everything. They wouldn't try to balance the budget. They wouldn't care about overdraft fees. They would just buy whatever they want. This is how our government works. This is how Congress works. They just swiping a credit card. Bleep, 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 bleep. And then when we say how we gonna pay for it, they say, you got it. You got it. Figure it out. They say tax the rich. I read that the rich already pay 90 to 97% of all taxes collected every year. When we say the rich need to pay more or pay their fair share, they're paying all the taxes. They paying all the taxes without the rich. If the rich stop paying taxes, which allegedly we say they don't pay taxes, if they stop paying taxes, boy, there would be no money in the government at all. But aside from that, I think what DOGE is doing has to go above and beyond finding corruption and fraud. They have to cut programs. A lot of people are afraid of Medicare and Social Security being cut. I don't think it'll get that far. I think their goal is to make the government more efficient using technology, artificial intelligence, so that they can streamline certain systems, consolidate certain government organizations, and potentially save trillions of dollars a year. And Donald Trump is trying to drum up some revenues using tariffs. Ultimately, the goal is to get rid of income tax. Wouldn't that be great? Next, we want to talk about tariffs and how tariffs are affecting the economy and why it may also be a reason why you are facing a layoff. Let's look at this.
Let's get right to the White House. CNN's Elena Treen is there. So much happening, Elena, in just the last few hours. Give us the latest.
That's right. Let's start with tariffs, John, because, look, this is something that the president had threatened to do. He was moving forward to do it more than a month ago, and now it is here. It's something that still, even in the final hours yesterday, as they were leading up to this new deadline of this morning, people on Wall Street, people on Capitol Hill were still hoping, and certainly, of course, Ottawa and Beijing and Mexico City were hoping that the president wouldn't move forward with, but now he has. I'm just going to break down exactly what these tariffs are. One is that we know that he has implemented the 25% blanket tariffs.
Good Lord. Y'all see that? 20% to China increased from 10%. He doubled the tariff over there. 25% in Canada. I thought it was love. Hey, he told Canada, y'all need to become the 51st state. Y'all thought I was playing? 25% tariffs. Mexico, they've been being nice. They've been trying to work with us. Mexico recently extradited one of the cartel people to face justice here in America for the atrocities that they committed against our citizens, torture and killing and murder and selling drugs, all that cartel stuff. They've assisted with stopping these caravans of people coming from these other countries trying to get to America. They stopped them. And they are assisting us with shipping people back across the border, back home, or just they in Mexico now. Remain in Mexico is back in effect. And so Donald Trump is like, we appreciate that, but you still getting hit with these tariffs. Let's get back to the video. Let's see what the impact of these tariffs are on our economy or on everyday Americans, on the everyday consumer. Let's see.
On Canada and Mexico, those took effect this morning. Then he also bumped up tariffs on China from 10% to 20%. And immediately, we've seen some of these countries retaliate with tariffs of their own. China, for example, retaliated by announcing 15% tariffs on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton imports from the United States. They also announced a 10% tariff on soybeans, pork, beef, and other various goods. Canada, for their part, we heard Prime Minister Justin Trudeau say that they are going to have $30 billion or tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, and that they would impose an additional 125 billion tariffs on American goods by March 25th. All to say, look, it's unclear how the markets are going to be impacted by this, but this is coming at a time when already you have a very inflation-weary Americans, many of whom do not want to be thrust into this trade war.
Yeah. The market did terrible in response to these tariffs. Listen, Prince Amir lost some money. Well, I won't say I lost money. I will say that my portfolio was negatively impacted by the tariffs. Yes, very much so. I lost. Well, I won't say lost. My account has dropped thousands I hate to say this, it's dropped tens of thousands of dollars. Holy moly. I'll be okay, though. I'll be okay. I'll bounce back. I had a great year in 2024, and I also had a good first quarter in 2025. Despite these significant losses, Prince Amir is still up. We still up out here. I trust that there will be a recovery, and I'll be there to take advantage of it. I'm looking forward to it. So when you look at these tariffs and you look at the impact that it's had in the stock market, you look how it's going to also contribute to inflation. These tariffs could impact your job, could be a reason for a layoff, but it also could be your salvation. The whole purpose of the tariffs, as pontificated by President Trump, is that they're going to force companies who were sending your jobs overseas to reinvest back into the United States, whether they're manufacturing goods or they're creating jobs here. The only way for companies to avoid tariffs is to not simply conduct business overseas, but to conduct business in the United States. Meaning you have to bring your money and your infrastructure and your know-how, and you have to do it here. You have to employ Americans. If you're going to sell to Americans and take advantage of all the rich folks and all the money that's going around in America, you need to be feeding Americans too, not just leeching off of us. There's a balancing act though, right? What companies are creating jobs? What type of jobs? Are they good paying jobs? Are they jobs that Americans are qualified for? If it's technology based and they just looking for engineers, they might be looking for people that might not be American, people that are more engineer focused, like Asians. Keep it a buck. You know, that's not a stereotype. It's just a fact. Asians are better at math. They're better at engineering, and it just seems to be more of a focus for them. But hey, we can get in there too as Americans. You know, we like picking up heavy shit and moving it and hitting stuff with tools and stuff. We like tools. We like getting in there, and we love guns. Where my gun at? We're not going to show no guns on here. Let's look at some real life examples of people going through it, how these layoffs are affecting them in real life.
Still trying to figure out why ain't they called a recession yet. Let's talk about it. So every job right now is on a hiring freeze. I done applied for multiple jobs. One straight up told me, I just heard another college is on a hiring freeze. So we have thousands of people getting laid off, but the company's on a hiring freeze, which doesn't make sense to me because a lot of companies made record profit. Now, this is what's stressing me out.
Listen, yes, it makes sense that colleges would not be hiring. Number one, colleges have way too much administrative costs, meaning they got too many people working at colleges anyway. There are no jobs at colleges. Secondly, the old way of going to college and getting a degree is over with. It's dead. You can almost learn how to do anything on YouTube for free, let alone these other platforms like Udemy, Skillshare can teach you anything. They got different programs that will give you certificates that are respected by some employers. This idea of going to college and spending tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a degree, that's dead. That's about to go away. In addition to that, the Department of Education is going away. And one thing that the Department of Education handles is student loans for everybody. So once they defund the Department of Education, that agency that makes sure everybody can go to college and study whatever they want to study and is subsidized by the federal government, that's about to go away. That's going away. And so these schools know that the gravy train is over. They're trying to figure out where they can cut. So it's going to be some layoffs at these universities, and they're going to be having to liquidate some real estate. It's about to get real out y'all. The idea that these companies have record profits, stop counting people's pockets. Don't worry about what they're doing with their money. Worry about what you're doing with yours. That's all I can say. Just because a company made money, that don't mean they got to give it to you. Let me say that one more time. Just because a company made money, that doesn't mean they got to give it to you. It doesn't mean, oh, I made money. Why don't I create a job so I can give my money away? No, this money going over here is going in the bank. It's going to sit there until we need it. We don't need to create a job for you so that you can take care of yourself. That's your job. Figure it out. Right? So the entitlement. These companies made a lot of money. Why are they laying off? Because they don't need you. They made the money. They can forecast recession, depression. They can forecast things not going good. They see them tariffs. They say, hey, let these people go because we don't need to pay them no money. Just because we made money, we want to keep it because we might need it for a rainy day. So that's why you ain't got no money. That's why they not hiring you, despite the fact that they made record profits. Yeah, they want to keep the profits. They don't want to go broke after making profits. You know?
Everybody moving back to the ghetto. Oh, you wasn't expecting that one? Everybody got to move back to the ghetto. Everybody going back to the ghetto. We going back to the hood. The hood never sounds so good. $900 a month? That's all you going to be paying?
Shout out to Anton Daniels. He's right. Back in the day, many moons ago, $900 a month was a lot. I spent $900 a month on an apartment, 2-bedroom. I think it was 1,200 square feet. And I was doing it. I said, boy, I'm up. Now, that's a deal. Most people for 2-bedroom apartments in a good neighborhood without crime, not the hood, is about $1,800 a month. And so, yeah, people are spending $900 a month in the hood. I think he's right. Everybody is going broke. And they're going back home to where they came from. They're going back to the hood. I agree.
All right. It is March 3rd of 2025, and I am officially laid off of my job. I was a project manager for a solar company out in Missouri, working remote, and they let go of the whole department as of today.
I got a clue for you, baby girl. You was remote. When Donald Trump said everybody is coming back into the office. If you have a remote job, you are in danger of being laid off in the next 12 months. If you have a hybrid position, you are in danger of being laid off the next 12 months. The people that the company absolutely need to survive are in the office. The people that they don't see because you're remote, they believe they don't need you because they don't see you. And it's like you're not there anyway. And so when they're looking for somebody to cut, they don't even know where you are. You're a name of a person that wasn't present when they did the roll call. And so you out of there. Layoff. You will be laid off if you are a remote worker in the next 12 months. Not all, just most of y'all. Good Lord. Get back to the office. Start being seen. The whole department, y'all see that? The whole department, and she hurt.
I know there were a lot of comments that wanted an update on my termination letter being rescinded, basically saying I have a job again with the IRS, the federal government, after the probationary layoffs. Y'all.
I don't like that. We definitely need to be letting go of IRS agents, and we don't need to be bringing them back. Let's see what else she say.
Oh, it was weird. It was weird. I'm the only person I know that has been laid off, and then the letter was rescinded saying I have a job again. There was one person in my comments saying that this happened to them. They got that same letter, but they had previous work in a different government agency than the one they were laid off from. I don't have that. I was able to get a new badge today. I was not able to get my laptop back as of today, but I will keep you updated. I have a feeling that they're going to rescind my letter that they rescinded my termination. Basically.
Hey, real quick. She says she work at the IRS. That means she has access to all your financial data and all your financial records. You all are okay with her having access to that information, but not Elon Musk? I don't get it. I don't get the outrage of Elon Musk having access to the same information that she has access to. She seems like a nice young lady. She seems regular. She doesn't seem like she's a genius. She doesn't seem like she built a bunch of companies. She doesn't seem like she's trying to save the country. She just is a person that had a job and was doing her job. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Let's look at another video.
My name is Marian Rodriguez Soto.
My name is Daniel Leckie.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kelsey Hopland.
My name is Aaron Lovick.
My name is Taylor Lawrence.
Hi, my name is Phil Mathias.
My name is Emily Connor, and for the last 11 months, I was employed by the Federal Transit Administration as a grants management specialist.
I've had the honor of working in my dream job as a historic preservation specialist for the General Services Administration.
I started working with the FAA in October 2024 as a Great Lakes Community Engagement Officer.
I'm a former soil conservationist with the Natural Resources.
I gotta hear this again, man. Hold on.
Specialist for the General Services Administration.
I started working with the FAA.
That sounds like an organization that needs to go away. General Services Administration.
In October 2024 as a Great Lakes Community Engagement Officer.
I'm a former soil
Why does the Great Lakes need a community engagement officer? What? What is that? We have officers, police officers, to engage the community of criminals so that we have safe communities. What is an engagement officer in the Great Lakes? Sound like she from where I'm from. I live in the Great Lakes, around the Great Lakes in Michigan. Yeah, we don't need that. Sorry we had to lay you off, baby girl. But you'll figure it out. We got something for you.
conservationist with the Natural Resources Conservation
Ecological Services Field Office.
I worked at the National Cancer Institute as the Chief Technology Officer and Deputy Director in the Division of Cancer Prevention. My role was to bring innovative technologies in this space to help come up with new ways to prevent cancers and to come up with ways to help manage the data that comes from these large-scale screening trials that we do to make it as available, accessible, and usable to the broader communities as possible.
If you've ever seen a news story about a major federal agency, those might be my buildings in the background. Without historic preservation specialists across government, there would be no one to ensure our nation's most important historic buildings, structures, monuments, and sites are protected from ill-conceived government actions that carelessly degrade them.
It was my job to work directly with public transportation agencies to make sure that they could get access to federal funding that they are entitled to by law. And now that we have so few people doing that job at the Federal Transit Administration, I really don't know how our public transportation agencies are going to stay afloat.
I went into public service because after running a research...
Okay. It's admirable, the jobs and the roles that these people had in our society. They believed that they were adding great value. I personally believe that their jobs can be replaced with advancements in technology, according to this lady. She's a CTO, Chief Technology Officer for the Cancer Institute, and her job was to innovate and implement new technologies. Okay. I'm sure they have someone that's still focused on that there. Maybe they replaced her, unless they're getting rid of the agency as a whole. In addition to that, the data can be aggregated and managed and used and analyzed using artificial intelligence. It can do that quite well, actually. Technology is going to automate probably her job. That's probably why she was let go. Just saying. But hey, now it is time to talk about when I got laid off. Okay, so years ago, let's talk about the first time I got fired. First time I got fired, I was working at Super Kmart. If you've never heard of Kmart, it's because they don't exist anymore. At least I haven't seen one in years. They were Walmart before Walmart was Walmart. I worked at a Kmart. It was 24 hours. I worked the night shift. I started work at 10:30 p.m. and I would get off at 7 a.m. And when I would get off, I would come home and I would take my little brother to school, and I would have to pick him up from school about 3.5 hours after dropping him off. 4 hours after dropping him off. And then I would just kind of sleep. Actually, I wouldn't be able to sleep because I would have to watch him until his mom and my dad got back. And hours after that, I would soon have to go to work again. It was brutal. I am not a night shift type of guy, nor am I a day shift type of guy. Actually, I'm an afternoon shift. I'm an afternoon shift guy. I can't do midnights. But needless to say, I was terminated because I went on lunch and I took a nap and I never woke up. I slept for like 2.5 hours on my lunch break, and they couldn't find me, and I was not at my station. And so they fired me on the spot. They let me go. It was some of the best sleep that I ever had. And I was unemployed at that time. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Luckily, I was still staying at home. And I didn't have to fend for myself. I wasn't going to be on the street. I wasn't going to be homeless. But ultimately, I bounced back. What I did is I didn't hesitate. I didn't cry about it. I went out and I applied for work. I went to job fairs and I didn't limit myself, right? There were no limits to what I could achieve. I absolutely believed in myself, and it wasn't anything that I wasn't going to try. So where I ended up getting hired is the Olive Garden. I ended up getting a job at a restaurant, the Olive Garden. They were having a job fair that they were doing some hiring at a particular location, which was around the corner from where I lived. And so I called up there to confirm if it was a job fair. I said, hey, is it a job fair? You guys hiring? They said, yes, we are hiring. I said, what positions? They said, we are hiring servers. And she says, you have to have experience though. I said, okay, no problem. I had no experience. So I get dressed, I get my tie, my shirt and tie on, and I walk all the way up to the Olive Garden, and I go in there. I fill out the application. They had you take a test as well to see how well you are able to communicate and articulate yourself or convey your ideas and your thoughts based on serving. So it was like, how would you describe this food or describe a drink? How would you talk to a person, or how would you handle a person if they said this or they complained about that? And I gave my answers that I thought would be the best answer, the answers that I felt like they wanted to hear or whatever. And so after I filled out my application, they were interviewing people right on the spot. And so I go through my interview and she's looking at my application and she sees me, handsome guy, and she's impressed. She's impressed with what she's reading, and she's looking at the answers to the questions, and she's like, wow, very good. Like, this guy, we might want to hire this guy. And then she looks and experience, and she looking forward, and I see her do she trying to find that I worked at a restaurant. She goes, you worked at a restaurant before, right? And I go, no. No, I have not. She's like, didn't they tell you that we're only hiring people with experience? I said, yeah, I called. They told me that you guys are only hiring servers with experience. And she goes, well, why are you here? I looked her in her eyes and I said, to get the job. Straight face, square business. I said, I'm here to get the job. Just like that. And she was like, wow, okay. She was like, we'll call you. I said, thank you. Shook her hand. Before I got back to the house, I got a call. I was hired. I ended up being their best server. At least that's what they were telling me, and that's what all the customer and guests was telling me. They said Prince Amir was the best. They said nobody did it better. So that was my first layoff. When I was working at Kmart, they paid me $12 an hour. I lost that job, and working at the Olive Garden, I got to the point where I was making $700 to $800 a week, and I was working less than 40 hours. This a while back. That was incredible money. I was making over $3,000 a month, and I didn't even work Friday or Saturday. That was date night. And that was like me to go out and have a good time. I was blowing money. I was living life. I bought a car, moved out of my dad's house, got my own apartment, had my little girlfriend. I was doing my thing. I was making great money. So I went from $12 an hour, living with my dad, broke, and I got fired. I got terminated. I got laid off. And then I'm making way more money. Now, I eventually lost that job at the Olive Garden. And it was after I had my own apartment. It was after I was in a position where I had my own responsibilities. I had a car note, and I had rent. I had electricity bills. I had phone bills. I was basically taking care of myself. And I had a lady. My lady needed me to hold it down. She was dependent on me. You feel me? I lost that job. I got laid off. I've always had the right mindset, though. I got laid off on Monday. I was hired somewhere else on Thursday, starting the following Monday. The way that I accomplished that is I went and filled out applications everywhere all day until a person hired me on the spot. I wasn't going to stop until I got a job. And so I got a job. So when I see people saying that they're unemployed, that they can't get a job, I just feel like they're not applying themselves. I feel like they're not applying everywhere. I feel like there's jobs where they say, well, I don't want to do that job. I don't want to work there. They got too much pride. I applied everywhere. I applied at places where I didn't want to work because I needed money. I needed to work. I needed to make money. I was going to figure it out. And this place that hired me wasn't like the best place. It was the place that hired me first. I wasn't going to waste time. And when I worked there, I gave it my best. I gave it my all. And eventually I left that place and I went and worked somewhere else where I was making $1,200 a week. So my income is steadily going up as I expose myself to newer opportunities, as I have the right mindset. And that's when I realized, that's when I became unafraid of ever losing a job. I was at peace. I was confident that if I did lose a job, that I'd be okay. And in fact, not only would I be okay, I probably found myself in a situation doing better than I was doing the first time. Now I got laid off again, not from the new place where I was making $1,200. I eventually left that place too and went on to another place making even more money, but I also did a career change. You know, I was waiting tables for several years and I went, back to school and I got into the legal field to get my degree and be a paralegal. Now, as a paralegal, I get a job at this law firm downtown, personal injury law firm. It's a big firm. It's flashy. It's a place to be. Very well-known attorney, well-respected in these streets. I really enjoyed working there. But it was like working for a tyrant. He was a tyrant. Very tyrannical. Yeah, he was tyrannical. I'm not going to say anything else because I got nothing but love for the guy. He was special, but he ran a dictatorship for sure. It was great training because as much of a work ethic that I had, working at that particular business made me sharper and made me stronger. It made me be able to take pressure even better than I was able to take it before. But nevertheless, I got laid off from that position. The firm had some financial issues and they had to let go of an entire department. And my whole team was let go, including me. At this time, I had a wife, I had a daughter, and I had a home. And they were depending on me to take care of business. And so I got laid off from the law firm. Prior to me getting laid off, I had joined a organization at my daughter's elementary school called Calling All Dads. It was a group of fathers whose children went to the school where we would come together and we would meet and we would discuss what we can do in the community and in the school district for our children to be positive role models. We would come up with different programs or different events, and we would kind of ask the administration of the school if it's anything that we could do to kind of help out. We wanted to be, an example of fathers being involved in their children's education. We had T-shirts calling our dads, and we would meet every week, and we would come together. And not only was it something that we wanted to give back to the community, being there for our children and showing that, men care about their children's education and we wanted to be involved. But it was also for us men to be able to build with rapport with one another. There was a camaraderie amongst us dads, the mutual goal for us to come together and add value into our children's lives as it relates to their education and just the community at large, right? But that camaraderie and the relationships that we built amongst each other is the thing that got me my next job. And that job paid me twice the amount of money that I was making at the law firm. So I literally doubled my income that year after being laid off. I had a job that had really great benefits, really great perks. It wasn't the best working environment, but wasn't the worst either. We was having a lot of fun. We worked hard. High stress, but we played hard. It was, we loved it. I learned a lot and I sharpened my skills. I became an assassin from working at that place. I was a killer. Not really, I was not a killer. So I get laid off from this position And when I got laid off, I did the same thing that I always do. I started applying for jobs everywhere until someone hired me. And so I got an opportunity through a referral from one of the dads in Calling All Dads group. And it led to me getting a position in a completely different field, but making twice the amount of money that I was making before. So I doubled my income. So one door closed, only for damn near two doors to open. Twice the amount of income. And so I was working hard, putting my best foot forward, and they had promoted me into a managerial position within 30 days. And then they had promoted me again 90 days after that. And when I say promotions, I'm talking income and responsibility. I was put in a position where not only I was making more money, but I was actually able to help other friends. I actually employed people. So I had friends who was looking for a job, and I employed them with good income. I gave them a good job just on the strength. Hey, can you do this job? We hiring. Instead of giving it to a stranger, I'm gonna give it to the homie who I know is hardworking, who I know is smart. We're gonna give you some training. I just need you to show up and do a good job. And I did that. That's just the type of person I am. But then I was laid off from this position as well. That company went under for one reason or another. We're not going to get into it, the specifics. But my last day, which I knew was coming, I called a restaurant that I had previously worked at and asked them if I could come back. Now, most people that wait tables are doing it in between jobs or on the way to their career. So maybe they're in school, or they're getting ready to go to school, or they're getting ready to graduate, and they wait tables because it's good income. But the goal is to not do that forever, to leave and to go do something else. And I did that. I did that a few times. And a lot of people would not want to go back to waiting tables after they've left that industry and got what people refer to as they say a real job, a day job, where you have benefits, where you work only 40 hours a week or 40 hours a week. Because most people that wait tables, they don't even work 40 hours a week because there's so many different people in different shifts. You end up working like 20 to 30 hours. Rarely will you work 40. So getting a real job, working 40 hours a week consistently, having a salary or hourly, and having benefits, health insurance, and stuff like that, most servers don't have access to that. But anyway, when you work in that industry, the goal is to get out of that industry and get a real job, as you would say. And the idea that after leaving that you would come back could be thought of as being humiliating. Oh, you back? I thought you had the good job. I thought you went to school. You coming back here with the rest of us, right? And so I had that moment, but I didn't feel no type of way about it because money is money. I guess I had to humble myself, but I didn't feel humbled. I didn't feel embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed going to get money. And so I called them up. Hey, hard times. Can I come back to work? They said, yo, you still got the uniform? They put me on the schedule. I came back. I made crazy money. Eventually, I got another opportunity through networking where I was dang near double my income again. And I was trying to work both jobs. Most of my life, I was working two jobs. I always had the side hustle and the main job. Once I got into corporate America, I didn't really let go of the second job. I always moonlight as a server. I would wait tables a few days a week. Plus, I would have the day job, and it would supplement my income, take my income from here to here, right? So every time I would get laid off or fired, or I would lose a job, and my world would be ending, because I had the right mindset, because I had the right skill set, and because I had the right friends, I would always thrive. There was no need for me to feel anxious. There was no need for me to feel worried, because it always worked out. And not only did it work out for the better. I've yet to experience being laid off and my life declining, or the next opportunity being lesser than what I was doing before. I don't know if it's like that for you, but for me, I'm blessed. And I believe that you are blessed too if you got the right mindset, if you put forth the right energy, if you don't be a victim, don't feel sorry for yourself. That door closed for a reason so that you can go and do something else that you might be meant to do. Sometimes God will tear down what you're trying to build so that he can lay a new foundation, something that is more sturdy, more strong, and just above all else, better. See, a lot of people are hard-headed. I know I'm hard-headed. I'm stubborn. Because I'm so stubborn, because I'm so hard-headed, I might be stuck working a job or stuck in a position that I've outgrown. But because I'm so stubborn, because I'm so loyal, I'll stick to it. And the thing that's going to pull me away from it, it has to be destroyed. Like, they'll have to fire me or something will have to go wrong. The company will have to go out of business in order for me to finally detach myself from it, because this greater thing is waiting for me over here. Sometimes I don't always go for that greater thing. I'm stuck right here. And God is like, yo, I got something over here for you. And I don't get to it because I'm so distracted. I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing over here. But it's something better over there. And so sometimes God's going to have to mess this up. He going to have to mess this up over here because he got something over here for me, because I'm hard-headed. I'm still learning how to let go and walk away from something that was never meant for me in the first place. And that might be your situation. You might be feeling hurt about a job that you lost because some government agency got closed up, but it might be a greater purpose for you. Maybe that wasn't what you were meant for. What you're meant for is over here and is waiting for you. It's waiting for you to discover it. It's waiting for you to go for it and touch it and get involved with it. But you would have never got there if you were staying with this job over here that went away. So let it go. Don't let it make you feel bitter. Don't let it give you anxiety. Know that that pressure that you're feeling is not going to last forever. It's going to work out. And not only is it going to work out, it's going to work out for the better. At least that's what I believe. That's my mindset, and it hasn't failed me yet. And I don't think it's going to fail you either. Get to it. Don't make excuses. Work any job that's hiring. Work 2 jobs. So I have people, they say they need money. They say they're not making enough money on the job that they're working. And I give them advice. I say, why don't you try this? They go, I don't want to do that. I have no more advice for that person. Once I give a person, hey, this could work, and they go, I don't want to do that, I'm done. I got no more advice for you. And at the same time, that person can't ask me for money either. I have more than one job and a side hustle, and I'm in school, right? If a person that's working one job and they say, hey, I'm struggling, I'm going to ask them questions about their budget. I'm going to say, hey, what's your budget? How you spending your money? And I'm going to say, well, what's your work schedule? What's your time like? And if I see that they maybe have an opportunity for a second job, I'll tell them, hey, you might want to get a second job doing this until you get back on your feet. And if they go, no, I'm not doing a second job, I'm like, oh, they can't then go say, let me borrow $100. I'm going to be like, I'm not doing that. I don't work 2 jobs so you can work 1 and borrow my money and never pay me back. A person that works 4 jobs, a person that worked 3 jobs can borrow money from a guy that worked 2. That's it. Man, I've been rambling on. I think I've said enough. That's all I have to say about layoffs. Layoff is not the end. It may be the beginning of your journey towards prosperity. It's a transition period. You might have been stuck in a city and needed a reason to move out. And maybe that job was part of the thing that was keeping you tethered to a particular place or a particular mindset, a particular level of stress. And now you can let that go. And that thing that's been on your heart that you wanted to do, and you were just like, I can't go for that because I have to have this job and I need this job. Well, the job is gone now. Now what you gonna do? Now you ain't got no excuses. You was saying a prayer. You saying you need to do this or you want to accomplish this in your life, and that job was in your way. It got rid of it for you. Now you can go and handle business. Get to it. That's all I got to say. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button so y'all can see some more videos, because Prince Amir is getting to it. Another day, another thought. Prince Amir, I'm out. Peace.